Dating as an introvert feels different, doesn't it? It's not that you don't want connection. You want it, deeply. But the way the world often presents dating, loud bars, endless small talk, flashy profiles where you have to sell yourself in 150 characters, it can feel exhausting, fake, completely out of sync with who you are at your core. Maybe you've wondered, am I just bad at this? Maybe you've thought, maybe love just isn't for someone like me. If you've ever had those thoughts, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not bad at love. You are not broken. You are not too quiet. You're just wired differently. And that difference? It's your greatest strength when it comes to finding real, lasting connection. Welcome back to Psych Bites, the place where we make love, dating, and human connection make actual emotional sense. And today, we're diving into a topic that might just change the way you see yourself and your love life forever. You see, introverts aren't made for surface-level interactions. You're made for depth, for conversations that linger for hours, not ones that skim across the surface and leave you drained. You're not looking for just anyone. You're searching for that one person you can truly be yourself with. And that's not weakness. That's clarity. The problem isn't that dating is impossible for introverts. It's that the way most people talk about dating doesn't honor what actually makes introverts magnetic. You don't need to work a room. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to put yourself out there. You just need to approach love differently, more intentionally, more aligned with who you already are. In today's video, we're not going to tell you to get out of your comfort zone and talk to everyone you meet. Instead, we're going to explore how you, as an introvert, can find love, real love, by leaning into your natural strengths, not fighting against them. We'll talk about why dating feels draining sometimes and how to manage your energy better. We'll show you how your introvert qualities, your depth, your thoughtfulness, your ability to truly see people aren't obstacles. They're your superpowers. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to navigate dating in a way that feels less like a performance and more like an invitation for someone to meet the real you. Because when you lead with authenticity, you don't just find love, you find the kind of love that lasts. Let's be real for a second. Dating can feel draining even for the most outgoing people. But if you're an introvert, it's a whole different level of exhaustion. And it's not because you don't want connection. You do, maybe even more deeply than the average person. It's because the typical ways dating plays out in modern culture are almost perfectly designed to drain an introvert's emotional battery. First, let's talk about what introversion really means. Introversion isn't about being shy, awkward, or antisocial. It's about where you get your energy from. Psychologists, starting all the way back with Carl Jung, defined introverts as people who recharge through solitude and reflection, while extroverts recharge through social interaction. That means every conversation, every social event, every swipe on a dating app, it all costs you energy. It doesn't mean you hate people. It means that being around people drains your internal battery faster than it would for someone who's wired differently. And when you're trying to date, putting yourself out there, making small talk, navigating first impressions, that's a whole lot of energy being spent in a very short amount of time. Now, let's layer in something else. Overstimulation. Most dating advice are built for people who thrive on stimulation. Loud music, crowded restaurants, non-stop texting, swipe culture that treats people like options on a menu. It's constant noise, emotionally, mentally, physically. But for an introvert, overstimulation can feel like drowning. Too many people, too many conversations, too much surface-level chatter. It's exhausting. It's anxiety-inducing. And it often leaves you feeling like you just want to crawl under a blanket for 3 days and not speak to anyone. That's not because you're broken. That's because your nervous system processes social input differently. Introverts are more sensitive to dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, meaning you don't need as much external stimulation to feel satisfied. In fact, too much stimulation can trigger a stress response. which explains why what feels exciting to an extrovert, 3 dates in 1 weekend, chatting with 5 new people online, can feel overwhelming for you. It's not just emotionally tiring, it's biologically tiring. Then, there's the pressure to perform. Dating often feels like an audition. Smile, flirt, impress, be on. And for introverts, who thrive on authenticity and depth, this expectation can feel deeply uncomfortable. You're not here to perform. You're here to connect. But when the culture around dating rewards flash over substance, it's easy to start doubting yourself. You might think, maybe I need to be more outgoing. Maybe I need to be more exciting. But trying to be someone you're not only drains you faster, and it attracts people who aren't actually right for you. Because here's a truth you need to hold on to. Love doesn't come from performing louder. It comes from connecting deeper. The exhaustion of dating isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's the exhaustion of trying to show up authentically in a space that often doesn't reward authenticity. It's the exhaustion of longing for a real, soul-level connection, while navigating a world that often prioritizes quick chemistry over slow-burning intimacy. It's no wonder so many introverts pull back after a few bad dates, wondering if love is even worth the effort. But here's the good news. You don't have to play the extrovert's dating game. You don't have to force yourself into spaces that feel wrong, conversations that feel shallow, rhythms that feel unsustainable. You get to create your own way. Because introverts don't need 100 connections. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need the right person to see you. And they can't see you if you're hiding behind someone you think you're supposed to be. You can build love at your own pace. You can meet people in ways that feel natural and energizing, whether that's quieter dates, smaller gatherings, shared interest spaces like book clubs, art classes, volunteering. You can start conversations that mean something. You can allow yourself to go slow, because slow isn't wrong. Slow is intentional, and the right person won't be put off by your introversion. They'll be drawn in by it. Because what introverts offer, depth, presence, loyalty, emotional richness, is rare, and once someone experiences it, it's unforgettable. So yes, dating feels draining as an introvert, but not because you're bad at love. It feels draining because the standard dating culture isn't built for you. But you're not here to fit into the culture. You're here to create connection on your own terms. And that's not just possible, it's powerful. Now, let's talk about how you can lean into your introvert strengths, how to date your way, and how, by doing that, you don't just find love. You find the kind of love that feels like home. You don't have to network, you just have to connect. When you hear advice like, put yourself out there, it often sounds like you're being told to network, like you're selling a product at a business convention. Smile bigger, talk faster, meet everyone, collect as many contacts as possible. But dating for introverts isn't about volume, it's about connection. You don't need a room full of people to find love. You don't need to attend endless parties or swipe through 1,000 profiles. You need one conversation that feels real, one moment of mutual curiosity, one person who sees something deeper in you. When you shift your mindset from networking to connecting, everything changes. The pressure to perform eases. You realize you're not trying to impress everyone. You're trying to connect with someone who resonates with the real you. Even small moments matter. A shared glance at a bookstore, a thoughtful conversation at a quiet coffee shop. Depth, not breadth, is where introverts thrive. And the best part? When you stop scattering your energy chasing endless connections, you create space for the right one to find you and stay. Quality over quantity. In the fast-paced world of dating apps and speed dating, there's a subtle pressure to believe that more is better. More matches, more dates, more conversations. But for introverts, quality beats quantity every single time. One real connection is worth 100 surface-level interactions. One deep conversation is worth 1,000 casual chats. You don't need a busy dating life. You need an intentional one. Focus on finding someone who matches your emotional energy, your values, your pace. Someone you can sit quietly with without feeling like you have to fill every silence. When you prioritize quality, you save yourself from emotional burnout. You preserve your energy for people who deserve it. The right person won't require constant stimulation or endless chasing. They'll feel like a breath of fresh air, quiet, steady, real. Because real love doesn't need loud declarations. It needs presence. Listening is your superpower. If extroverts often attract attention with charisma and energy, introverts captivate in a quieter, deeper way through listening. And in the world of dating, listening is a superpower. Most people, without realizing it, are desperate to be heard, to be understood, to be seen for who they are, not just what they present. Introverts naturally create that space. You don't just wait for your turn to speak, you actually hear. You notice the little things, the way someone's voice shifts when they talk about something important, the hesitation in their laugh, the meaning beneath their words. And that kind of listening, it's magnetic. It makes people feel safe, valued. It builds emotional intimacy before physical intimacy even enters the picture. When you truly listen, you create connection faster and deeper than any pickup line ever could. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just have to be the one who makes someone feel truly, quietly known. Let's talk about energy, because as an introvert, it's everything. Dating can drain you quickly if you're not careful. It's not just about time spent. It's about emotional output. Every conversation, every new interaction, every social outing taps into your inner reserves. That's why energy management isn't optional. It's essential. Choose environments that nourish you, not deplete you. Pick dates that allow you to be present without feeling overwhelmed. Quiet dinners, museum strolls, bookstore browsing, or cozy coffee meetups. Give yourself permission to say no when your emotional battery is low. Cancel plans if needed. Take breaks between dates. Dating isn't a sprint, it's an emotional marathon. And managing your energy well doesn't make you selfish or antisocial. It makes you wise. When you protect your energy, you show up more fully, more authentically, and you save your best self for the moments and the people who are truly worth it. It's okay to pace yourself emotionally. In a world that praises instant chemistry and overnight love stories, it can feel like you're too slow if you don't fall head over heels by the second date. But here's your permission slip. It's okay to pace yourself emotionally. In fact, it's healthy. Real emotional connection isn't built overnight. It's built moment by moment, trust layered on trust. As an introvert, your emotional world is rich, deep, and private. It's not something you open up to just anyone. And that's not a flaw. That's discernment. Take your time. Get to know someone slowly. Let them earn your vulnerability, your trust, your deeper layers. And if someone pressures you to open up faster or just go with it, that's not romantic. That's a red flag. The right person will appreciate the gift of your emotional honesty, however slowly it unfolds. Because slow love isn't boring. Slow love is strong. Be proud of your emotional depth. You've probably heard that introverts are too sensitive or too intense when it comes to relationships. Ignore that noise. Your emotional depth isn't a liability. It's a superpower. While others might skim the surface, you're capable of swimming in the deep end. You notice, you reflect, you feel. You're not just looking for someone to have fun with, you're looking for someone to build a life with. Someone whose soul feels like a familiar room you didn't even know you missed until you found it. And yes, that means you'll take your time. You'll need real emotional resonance. You'll pass on the instant spark for the slow-burning, soul-satisfying fire. Be proud of that, because when you love completely. And anyone lucky enough to earn your heart, they won't just feel liked, they'll feel understood. And in a world full of noise, being understood is the rarest and most beautiful kind of love there is. Let's go a little deeper now. Not just into the experience of dating as an introvert, but into why introverts are often wired for the kind of love that actually lasts. Because here's a truth that doesn't get said enough. Introverts don't just date differently. They bond differently. They love differently. And in many ways, they love deeper. Psychology has long shown us that introverts are naturally attuned to the emotional layers most people skip right past. You're more reflective, more observant, more sensitive to nuance. And when it comes to relationships, that changes everything. Let's start with attachment theory. Research shows that people who tend towards slower, intentional bonding often build what's called secure emotional attachments. Instead of rushing into closeness and burning out, introverts are more likely to pace emotional intimacy. And this pacing, it allows for trust to develop naturally, one small vulnerability at a time. Secure attachment isn't about grand declarations. It's about quiet, consistent presence. And introverts are naturally gifted at offering that. When you care about someone, you're there, fully, intentionally. You remember the small things. You show up not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. You invest energy into understanding the person in front of you, not just their hobbies, but their heart. Then there's the power of emotional depth. Introverts are less likely to be satisfied with surface-level connection. You want to know someone's hopes, their fears, their quiet dreams they don't share with just anyone. And that desire for depth creates a foundation most fleeting romances never touch. When two introverts connect, or even when an introvert connects with a more extroverted partner who appreciates depth, it's not just fun, it's transformational, because you're not just sharing time, you're sharing internal worlds. Psychologists often refer to this as empathic resonance, that ability to feel with someone, not just for them. Introverts, with their reflective nature and deep emotional attunement, are more likely to create these empathic bonds. And those bonds? They aren't easy to replace. They don't vanish when the excitement fades. They become the quiet glue that holds two people together through life's inevitable storms. Another hidden strength? Emotional regulation. Because introverts tend to spend a lot of time in introspection, you're more likely to be aware of your emotional states. You notice when you're overwhelmed, when you're anxious, when you're pulling away. And with awareness comes the ability to manage, not perfectly, but with more intention. In relationships, this emotional regulation plays out in huge ways. You're less likely to react explosively, more likely to reflect before speaking, more willing to work through conflict thoughtfully instead of escalating it. That doesn't mean introverts don't struggle. Everyone does. But your tendency to slow down emotionally often creates a safer emotional climate for real connection to grow. And let's not forget loyalty. Introverts don't bond easily with everyone, and you don't want to. But once you let someone in, once you trust them enough to open that inner world, you don't walk away easily. You invest deeply. You commit fully. You're not chasing the next rush of attention or novelty. You're invested in growing something real. And in a world where so much of dating feels disposable, that kind of loyalty is rare. It's magnetic, and it creates a kind of love that endures, not because it's perfect, but because it's chosen, over and over again. There's also something incredibly powerful about the introvert's approach to presence. While extroverts often dazzle through dynamic energy and sociability, introverts captivate through focus. When you're with someone you care about, you aren't halfway there. You aren't distracted by the room or your phone or a dozen other conversations. You're there, fully, quietly. And that level of presence is intoxicating for the right person. Psychologists call it attunement, the ability to deeply tune into another person's emotional state. It's what creates intimacy without needing constant words. It's what makes silence between two people feel full instead of empty. And introverts, without even realizing it, often excel at this. So, if you've ever felt like you're bad at dating because you're quieter, slower to warm up, or drained by surface-level interactions, I want you to know, you're not bad at dating. You're just wired for something deeper. You're wired for slow-burn love, for emotional intimacy, for soul connection, not just social compatibility. And while that might mean your dating journey looks different, slower, quieter, it also means that when you find your person, you'll build a bond that doesn't just survive the highs and lows of life, it grows stronger through them. Because introvert love isn't about fireworks, it's about roots. Strong, quiet, unshakable. And trust me, that's the kind of love that lasts. So if you're an introvert, sitting there wondering if love is really meant for someone like you, I want you to breathe this in. You are not too quiet for love. You are not too slow. You are not too much or too little. You are exactly enough. You don't have to become louder, faster, flashier to find your person. You just have to stay true to your own rhythm. Because real love, the kind that doesn't burn out after the first spark, starts with authenticity. When you honor who you are, when you lead with depth instead of performance, you create the space for the right person to truly see you. Not for how entertaining you are, not for how much you keep up, but for the way your mind works, for the way your presence feels like home. Dating as an introvert isn't about conquering your nature. It's about trusting it and knowing that while your love story might be quieter, slower, less like a fireworks show, and more like a slow-building sunrise, it will be yours, real, deep, lasting. So here's your reflection for today. What is one introvert trait you're most proud of bringing into love? Maybe it's your listening. Maybe it's your loyalty. Maybe it's your ability to sit with silence without fear. Drop it in the comments. I would truly love to hear what makes your love story powerful. Because trust me, the world doesn't need another loud romance. It needs more real ones. And as an introvert, you're leading the way. And speaking of quiet love, if you've ever wondered whether an introvert in your life might have deeper feelings for you, but just isn't saying it out loud, you'll want to check out our video on 6 signs that an introvert likes you, but won't say it. Because introverts don't always shout their feelings. Sometimes you have to know exactly what to look for. Click over and watch next. You might just spot a sign you've been missing. And don't forget to subscribe to Psych Bites for more insights into psychology, motivation, and mental well-being. See you in the next one.